When I originally heard the term "go where you're treated best," which is a trademark by a person here on YouTube, Nomad Capitalist, um, it was like ding, a light went off in my head. And I think for this guy and his community, there's talking specifically to high net worth individuals who don't want to be penalized for being successful. And, however you feel about that is your own feelings, you're entitled to them. I looked at it from a perspective of, yeah, I'm going where I'm treated best. I'm going to be in spaces where I'm treated best. I'm going to take opportunities in my career where I'm treated best. I'm going to be in relationships with people where I'm treated best. I'm going to set boundaries around my relationships so that I attract and allow in people that are most in line with my values. And that line totally shifted my perspective since then. And it's why I think that it's so important to have multiple residencies in the 21st century. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Ashley. On my channel, Ashley in Africa, I talk about love, motherhood, and entrepreneurship, sharing my experience of moving, living, and doing business here on the continent of Africa. If that sounds interesting and up your alley, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share the content with someone you feel would find value in it. And in the comments, people are always asking, well, where are you gonna pick? Where are you gonna settle down? Are you moving around because of visa issues? And while some of these things are relevant, some of them are not, I am pursuing multiple residencies. I'm pursuing multiple residencies for several reasons, because I have an interest in living a global lifestyle. I have an interest in living in multiple countries, having access to properties on multiple coasts. And this is something that I always wanted, even domestically in the US, and living in a continent like Africa that, where you, in order to stay for longer periods of time, often, in order to own property, you have to have legal relationships, legal credentials in said countries. It's why I am pursuing multiple residencies. And in this video, I want to tell you the importance of that and my reasoning behind doing that, and why I think you should too. Okay, so I do have notes, and I'm going to jump into it. So the first thing is freedom. I've heard this quote, or, we talk about birds, right? Like, a bird can fly. Why is there a bird hanging out in Times Square, New York? Like, it's dirty, it's not there aren't trees there. Why doesn't that bird fly to the oasis in, Barbados? Why not? It has wings. And so do you. You have access. You can fly. You can live anywhere in the world that you want to. Now, there are some exceptions where, certain people may have restrictions on access to a passport. That is likely to be, a small percentage of people that don't actually make a move abroad, or decide to travel abroad, or decide to live abroad. 9 times out of 10, you're not doing it because you're afraid. And while some of your fears are valid, most of them are not. But the access, having multiple residencies gives a level of freedom. It kind of stamps that notion that, yeah, you can live on this earth, wherever on this earth you want to live. And nobody can do anything about that, as long as you do what you're supposed to do. Be, a contributing citizen of said country that you're in, or not necessarily a citizen, but be a good human being, be a good spiritual energy, like, do good, do right by people. And having those multiple residencies allows for that sense of freedom that I'm looking for, that I'm allowed to have. So why not? The second thing is, it provides a broader view of the world. And so, having lived in the US, now living in East Africa, and spending a good amount of time in South Africa, where I am pursuing an additional residency, it gives you this perspective. It just widens your perspective. Like, the quote, "The man who knows it all knows nothing." it hits. It hits because the more that you know, the more you realize you don't know. And even being in Africa and having a life on the East Coast, in East Africa, and a life in South Africa, the things that you thought you knew or the things that you thought you understood, and having people come to East Africa from different parts of the continent, or having people go to the continent from different parts from, you know, East Africa, you realize like nothing is black and white, and it offers a level of humility. You know, when I hear people or I see people leave comments and they're like, you have no idea about Africa, or you have no idea what you're talking about, 9 times out of 10, these are not people that have lived in different countries or have lived with that broader perspective. Because yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about, and you probably don't either. And I know that I will make mistakes, and I know that I don't know everything. And in this multiple residency aspect, or just desiring to have a global lifestyle, it brings in that humility that allows me to be able to relate to pretty much everybody. East Africa, Tanzania specifically, has a more of a conservative lifestyle than the US, 1,000%. And also a more conservative lifestyle than South Africa. And South Africa provides more of a liberal, you know, Western way of life. And yeah, just the dichotomy and being able to live and spend time in both, my children being able to live and spend time in both, gives them an opportunity to empathize with different communities, different people, and have a humility that, quite frankly, is just something you cannot teach in a school. Sometimes you can't even teach it in a household. It's something that you have to teach with experience, and I'm so grateful for that. Going into that lifestyle, right? Like the different lifestyles that are accessible in these different countries, where in Tanzania, it's a little bit more conservative. I do less, I shop less, I eat more natural foods, I spend more time in nature, going to the ocean, going to the mountain, hiking. That is the lifestyle that I live here in Tanzania, and I love it. It's calm, it's peaceful, it's relaxed, it's safe. Where South Africa, I'm on the go, you know. I'm having dinners, I'm shopping, I'm, you know, going to the spa regularly. I am going to events. Like, there is that lifestyle there. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist here. Many of that does exist here in Dar es Salaam. But I get to segment my lifestyle in that way. And that's why, you know, I'm choosing to have multiple residencies in Tanzania as well as South Africa. The next is the economic opportunities. So with that, Tanzania is a less developed country. The opportunity for investment here is robust. Everything from construction to real estate to agriculture is like ripe. I mean, I was speaking to my landlord the other day, and she purchased a property in a northern region from here that is still very coastal called Mbweni. And I myself went up there like a month ago, and it was beautiful, like coastal seaside. You can see the sunrise and the sunset because of the positioning of where it is on the coast of Tanzania. Her sister has a property and has had a property there for 10 years that she purchased for 4 million T shilling. 4 million T shilling, that's like, I'll put the description here on the side. Her sister, my landlord, purchased a property a month ago for 45 million T shilling, right next door, the same exact size. And in fact, got a bargain. It could have easily sold for 60 to 75 million T shilling. And that was 10 years ago. And I myself have even seen the growth of rental prices and property values in 2 years. And so there is a ripe investment here in Tanzania for infrastructure, for innovative, you know, lending practices. And there is still opportunity in South Africa. I mean, there is a lot of opportunity, but the price point and the price point for entry into the market is a little higher just because it's more developed. And so while some of these same opportunities exist, the opportunities in Tanzania are just so much greater because it's a lesser developed economy, but a faster growing economy, I'd say, than South Africa. So the economic opportunities and having multiple residencies allows for, I mean, just endless growth. And then being a resident in both countries allows you to tap into those economic opportunities with a bit more ease because you have a legal resident status and laws protect you in that work. And so when you are just touristing around, you have less rights, you have less opportunity because you don't have those legal binding rights as a resident. And the last thing is access. So, you know, if 2020 taught us anything, we saw, and it did, because at that moment I looked and the clock said 11:11. It taught us so many things, but it showed us that there are intercontinental, interglobal relationships that can become strained at a drop of a dime, misinformation or disagreements. And it was the number one, it was like it was the like thing that I just, my spirit was like, oh, I don't like this. Being unable to travel because I was a US citizen with the rise and the just abundance of COVID at the time in the US, I didn't like that. I did not like that feeling of feeling stuck. And when you have residency in a country, doesn't matter where you are, you can get to that country when you are a resident. And so even if I decide to travel back to the US or if I decide to travel to another country, I can get back to my country of residences, my countries of residence, because I'm a resident, no matter what. I don't have to feel stuck. I won't be stuck. And I can get home to where I really want to spend my time versus being in a place that is restricting me because they don't know how to get it together. Okay, so, and we're seeing it happen. And I think that was not the first or last time, that might have been the first time in our generation, but I don't believe it will be our last when we will see things happen in that way. And it is one of the main reasons why multiple residencies is not only important for me, but something that I suggest for you. And the last thing is I'm an investor, right? I invest in companies, real estate, stocks, insurance, crypto, art. I invest, and part of being an investor, you're taught to diversify. You're taught to risk manage. And I'm not going to not diversify my lifestyle while learning and understanding the importance of diversification in my investments. You learn that in one asset class might be super high or really aggressive, while another asset class might go down or might be a little bit less risky. And having a good combination of all of those type of investments in one is a very good strategy. At least for me, it has been, and it's something that, you know, my mentors also have adopted. And so in that, why wouldn't I diversify my lifestyle after learning what we all learned in 2020, where countries will shut down if you don't do X, Y, and Z, or they will not allow you access. So how do I want to live? I want to live a life of freedom. I want to live a life of adventure, and I want to live a life of ease and ease and access to opportunities where I can actually self-actualize. So that's why I have multiple residencies and why I feel it's important that you should too. And if you've been thinking about it, you've been thinking about relocating your family, growing your business abroad, I'd love to support you. You can connect with me below via the link in the description. You can get on my calendar and also visit ashleyinafrika.com. I created several resources for you to access a life abroad, whether it be the Expat Expense, my travel itineraries, and also some foolproof ultimate expat prep guides for you, for your family, to help you make your move with a lot more ease. I'd love to work with you. I can't wait to hear from you. And until the next video, I'll see you soon.